Hey, welcome to the new video of Angular. So in the previous video we have seen till this part, right, where we had created the Angular project and we had tweaked this file, which is app.html, and in this video we'll see the remaining folder structure or the files which are present in that Angular project. So here in this video we are going to cover this four files that we are yet to touch, which is app.config.ts file, app.route.ts, app.ts, and app.spec.ts. So let's begin with app.config.ts. So app.config.ts is something application configuration file. Okay, so let's suppose you want to define some URLs, right? Or maybe if you want to define some environment variables. I'm just giving some basic examples. So this is something a core point, right, where all those attributes or values which would be required in our Angular project can be kept here. So here, if you see here in this file, we have a lot of things which we haven't covered, but yeah, what is this used for? If you see here, we have this provide browser global error listener, right? So this is a kind of function which is inside this providers array, and in the same way we have this provide zone change detection, and then we have this provide router. So all of these things are something functions which would be used in our entire Angular project. So instead of maintaining this at different component, this is kind of a common repository where we can keep all of those things, and across our Angular project we can use this. So when we create an Angular app, these are the three things which we get by default. And let me just give you a brief or high level idea about this. What is this used for? Provide browser global error listeners is something used to handle the errors. Let's suppose there is an error, okay, which is unhandled in our Angular application. So we'll see that particular error in console as well. But if we want to notify Angular as well that this error has occurred, so for that, this is kind of a package which has came with angular.core, which can be used to handle the error. So let's suppose if any unhandled error occurs, then Angular can catch those errors and further we can pass it to a logging system or something like that. So this is a thing for that. So this is required across an entire Angular project. So that's why this is kept in app.config.ts file. And then we have this provide zone change detection. So here in Angular, whenever something like a state or a variable on a UI is changed. So let's suppose on a UI we have a value, right, which says this. Now if this value is changed to some other thing, so overall from the HTML perspective there is a change, right, where the value which is displayed on UI is changed to some other value. So in that case, this is kind of a package which is used, or this is kind of a heart of a Angular which does that behind the scene, right, to detect that change. So this is that package used for. So again, this is also kept in this particular file. And then we have this provide router. So we'll just see that as we move ahead. So what is this package used for is, so let me take an example of this one where we have an Angular app. So if I click on this particular link, I'm going to some different page, right? And likewise, I can go to different things. So I'm like routing to different multiple URLs, right, with a click of this. So if you want to build that kind of a routing mechanism in our application where based on clicking on certain button or maybe on a link we are routed to some other page, then we would need this provide router thing. So this is the entire library, I would say, which also comes inside Angular. I meant to say from Angular slash core. So as this is also used across our application, that's why this is kept in this config.ts. So from overall explanation, you might have got that app.config.ts is a file where we would be keeping all the things which we want in our entire application to be used. So let's go to the next one, which is app.routes.ts. So this file, this is blank. So this is, as I said, routes are used to navigate between different pages. So here is that where we need to set up all the routes. If I click on home button, then which page should open? All of those things we need to configure in this particular file. So as we move ahead, we'll do that. But yeah, this is the default file which comes. And then we have this app.spec.ts. So once our application is ready, or our project is ready, we can write here unit testing and the test cases here. So this is where for unit testing this particular spec app.spec.ts file is used for. Here we comes to the file which is app.ts file. So this is a class file as you see, or we can say this is a TypeScript file. So all of these things which we see on UI, so this comes from HTML, CSS, and then this app.ts which acts as a TypeScript file for a particular app component. So how it works is, here if you see we have a selector which says app root, and then here we have imports which says router outlet, and then here we have this template URL and style URL. So this is a particular TypeScript file where we are mentioning this topmost component which is an app component, I would say a global component, where we say the template URL is app.html. So you can, so we are giving a knowledge to Angular that refer to this app.html file which has any text or whatever it has. So we are like mentioning that URL here, and then we are mentioning for this app component refer the styles from app.css file, and this entire component we are giving a ID, I would say, which is called as app-root, and these are the imports. So if I want to import any different thing inside that, this is what we mention here. So we'll just see in detail as we look into components part, but yeah, this is how the any of the TS file of a component would look. And this all of these things, right, whatever we give here are combined together to give us this kind of a UI. So how this works is, when we see this main.ts file, so we are passing this particular app file, right? So whatever this class we have given, we are passing all of these things to this particular main.ts and this bootstrap application. So in main.ts, so this is a main, I would say, or a root file which runs. So this function creates the instance of Angular application, and we are passing this app which has the topmost, I would say, the HTML of this which we want to display. And then the second thing that we are passing here is app config file, which is here where we have given what is the configuration of our Angular project. And here is how this entire Angular application instance gets created, and we see these things on a browser. So at last, whatever this entire app component we have created using these three things, app.css, app.html, and app.ts, this all combines or gets displayed on this particular HTML file. So that's why here in this body we have a tag which is app-root. So why we have given this app-root is because in this particular thing where we have defined our app component, we have given this selector. So selector is a unique identifier of this component, and we are saying or giving a knowledge to Angular that run this entire component in our index file, index.html file, and here is that part where you need to render it. So this is how all of these things that we have seen are combined together, and finally the Angular project runs on a browser.